Todd's Odds brought to you by FanDuel. Our friend Todd Fuhrman, the former Caesars odds maker, the host of the Bet the Boards podcast. He is our sports betting expert. And Todd, you've been high on the Baltimore Ravens all year, and who could blame you? And Lamar Jackson, now those MVP odds have been cut in half from plus 1,400 to plus 700 on FanDuel. He's already won the MVP before. This would be a big comeback for him. Do you see a second MVP in the cards for Lamar Jackson?
Oh, look, Jay, I think he's got a very realistic possibility and a path to try and add a little bit of hardware to his collection. The problem is the price is a little bit prohibitive for me. But you look at this Ravens offense, and they put their signature performance on film for the world to see last Sunday against the Detroit Lions. Lamar Jackson buying time in the pocket, spreading the ball around to rookie Zay Flowers, his stalwart and reliable security guard in Mark Andrews. You see exactly what he can do with Rashad Bateman and Odell Beckham Jr. I think Lamar is going to continue to put up gaudy numbers. I'm just not running to the window to bet him now at 7. I might actually look at a quarterback who hones his craft in Western New York if I was trying to find somebody who's not getting enough buzz right now.
Okay, fair enough. I know that the Mafia will appreciate that, buddy. Brock Purdy's concussion. Even with the 2 straight losses, Todd, I don't think anyone was thinking anyone else but the Niners to win the NFC West. Maybe the Seahawks at plus 500, a little value there. But does this concussion potentially fade their chances, even fade their chances this weekend against the Cincinnati Bengals?
It may this weekend, Jay, but I really don't think it's going to have a major overall impact on the 49ers' prospects to win the NFC West. When you look at San Francisco from 1 to 22, this was one of the most talented rosters in the league. But one of the positions where they did actually have some depth, and I'm probably giving Sam Darnold a little bit too much credit, was at the quarterback position. I actually think the absence of Trent Williams, we'll see if he can go on Sunday against the Bengals, is bigger in terms of having a negative impact on this offense. We saw them really struggle to move the ball in space without Deebo Samuel. Brock Purdy's been a nice piece, and he handles things perfectly like a consummate point guard, leading this offense for Kyle Shanahan. But even if Purdy can't go this weekend against the Bengals, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. The 49ers really like what they saw to Sam Darnold in the preseason, and I think he can run the point-and-click offense the way the 49ers need it done.
Todd, it looks like a 3-man race as of right now for Defensive Player of the Year. You've got Myles Garrett at plus 220 for the Browns. You got Micah Parsons at plus 220 for the Cowboys. And you have the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, T.J. Watt, at plus 230 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you feel that any of those players has an edge over the other? Or, Todd, could there be some value elsewhere?
When I look at these 3 players, Jay, the one that stands out to me at such a short price would be Myles Garrett. And I have to be careful how loud I say that, living in a Steelers household, if I'm making a case for a member of the Cleveland Browns. But you look at what Myles Garrett did just last week alone. 9 tackles against the Colts, blocked a field goal, 2 strip sacks. I mean, this guy is absolutely everywhere, and he's a nightmare for every opposing offensive coordinator to try and deal with. But I will caution to buy into some of these short odds this early in the season. It was about this time last year where it appeared that Micah Parsons was going to be a runaway freight train to be Defensive Player of the Year, and it was all about the finish that we saw in San Francisco from Nick Bosa. So I think you have to have the ability to accumulate stats. Sacks are obviously a harbinger and a candidacy for what these guys look for when they're naming their Defensive Player of the Year. But I think of the trio we mentioned there, I'd like to have a Myles Garrett ticket in my portfolio more so than T.J. Watt or even Micah Parsons.
Any Super Bowl bet for me this week? I wasn't here last week, so maybe you made one last week when Kara Waglin was hosting the show and I missed it. But do we have a Super Bowl bet from Todd Fuhrman yet?
Jay, I'm getting closer. I'm getting significantly closer. There are 3 teams, all in the AFC, that have caught my eye, one of which is not, however, the Buffalo Bills. But I do think the balance of power is entirely in one conference. However, I haven't gotten to the point where I'm willing to pare down from that particular trio. But I will say one team might surprise some folks, but I'm not willing to call them Super Bowl champions just yet.
Oh, always a tease. Todd Fuhrman, always leaving us wanting more, and that's why we love you. Todd Fuhrman, you're the best. We'll talk to you next week, okay?
Always a pleasure, my friend.